right? On your quiz on Thursday. Yeah. Solve by completing the square. So, like if it says just solve, it doesn't matter how. But if it says solve by completing the square, or if it says solve by factoring, or if it says solve by using the quadratic formula, you have to use that method. So you have to know all three methods on your quiz on Thursday. All right, so
solve by what it says.
Yeah. Now, if it just says solve, it doesn't say how, you can pick. Okay? All right, so we're going to do one by completing the square. Do you want to do an easy one, medium one, or difficult?
Medium.
Mediano. All right. So let's do one where, let's say it was 2x squared minus 6x minus 4 equals 0. And we're going to solve this by completing the square. Right? So we're solving, so you know you're going to be done when you have x equals a number and another number. Right? That's when you're done. That's what we need. So do you remember? You move this to the other side? Yeah? And then we're solving, so we're going to divide out by 2, right? Everything.
Oh, because it's always the x is always supposed to be just x, right?
Yep. Now, if we were solving, if we were going to make it into vertex form like this, then do you know what I'm saying? If we were going to change standard form to vertex form, we did this last Tuesday, then we would do this step different. So, do you know what I'm talking about? Like changing from here to here, then this step would not be the same. Okay. But we're solving. So we're going to do like that. Okay, now let's see. I'm going to reduce. What was that?
That's a vertex form, right?
Yeah, this is vertex form. Okay, now the magic trick, you take half of b and square it and add it to both sides. So half of b, let's see, that's going to be negative 3 over 2, and we square it and we add it to both sides. But over here we go ahead and we multiply it and we go ahead and square it out. And this step is a little different too if you're changing to vertex form. But like the perfect square part's the same. Now,
Well, I have a question.
what's your pregunta?
I know. Wasn't that supposed to be you get half of 3?
Half of 6. Oh, yeah, half of 3. I did, right here. Half of 3 is 3 over 2.
Isn't it supposed to be half of 3, like 1.5 or something?
No, just use a fraction. You'll see why. It'll work out easier in a minute. Because when we do the square root and all that stuff, it's going to work out easier.
And is that number always supposed to be negative?
No, this one's negative though because the 3 was negative.
So if that's positive,
Then that would be
just
positive.
plus 3.
Right. Now, Now the reason we don't square this one, because this squared will become positive anyway, right? But the reason we write it like that is because always our next step is to take that number goes there. Like that's the shortcut, but that happens every time. Okay. Now 2, watch. 2 is equal to 8 over 4, right?
Yeah.
Like 2 is 8 over 4. 8 over 4 plus 9 over 4 is 17 over 4. Take square root of both sides. That sound effects help. I'll say. Plus or minus 17 over 2. So here's what we got. X equals 3 plus or minus the square root of 17 over 2. Now, square root of 17. Now, dang, I didn't bring calculators again. I'm a horrible human. I'm supposed to bring calculators.
Oh my god.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be playing cards in hell with Hitler when I die.
Well, that's the same like when we don't bring our homework. That's just
No, it's not as bad as that. Because if I forget calculators, it doesn't keep you from learning. But if you don't do your homework, it does keep you from learning.
I just keep not understanding that part.
Well,
Why is
okay.
it- Why is it 3 over 2?
Ah,
No, that, no, no, I said, no, not that part. The top part.
that one?
Up, up. In the parentheses, up. Yeah, that.
Because you take half of this number. Half of is multiply half of 3. You put a 1 on it, that's 3 over 2. Half of 3 is 3 over 2.
Es que en vez de convertirlo en décimo, lo dejas.
And you don't want to use the decimal because if you use the decimal, you won't be able to simplify it like this. Yeah. So let's see here. We can estimate that the square root of 17 is a little bit more than 4 because 16 square root of 16 is 4. So we'll just say that. That's not exactly accurate, but it's close enough. So here's what we're going to do. You know how you have a plus? So 3 plus 4.1 divided by 2. And then you have a minus. You have 3 minus 4.1 divided by 2. And I will do my very, very best to bring calculators for you guys, so that you won't have to do this by hand. Let's see, 7, let's see, that's 3 point, I'm tired. 7.1 divided by 2, let's see, 3, 11, 5, 5. Is that right? I hope so. So there's one answer. And then negative 0.55. Those are two answers right there. What do you think, Alexa? Yeah? Let's back up. Let's talk about, because especially with problems that have lots of steps and they're kind of complicated, Ivan, sometimes it's a good idea to step back and look at the big picture. So here's the big picture. We're solving by completing a square. And what that means is we take a quadratic equation and we make it a perfect square. And if you remember, perfect squares for quadratics, right? For perfect squares, like this is a perfect square right here, because this is x plus 5 squared. Perfect squares for quadratics, if you remember, half of this number right here squared will be that number. That's how they work. And they're nice because you can factor them very, very easily. And so that's what we're doing right here. This one's hard. The numbers aren't obvious, so it's tricky to see. But that's what's happening. We're taking something like this and we're making it a perfect square so we can factor it. And then we can take the square root, and then we just have to simplify the square root. Ivan's like, wow, I did miss a lot of school. Right, Ivan?
I should have got it.
Yeah? Okay, good. I hope you do. I hope you do.
Yeah, I was confused on the parentheses of take half and do it twice at the end part, but I got it already.
Okay. All right. So that's solving by completing the square.